Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the shop. I appreciate you joining me once again. Today's format's just a little bit different, so I'm going to actually give you a shop tour. I've gained about 11 subscribers in the last week, so I'm really grateful for that. Thank you guys that have subscribed. Really means a lot to me. So I figured it's time to just kind of show everyone what everything looks like and how I do things at home here. So what I'm going to do is flip the camera around and I'll show you everything. By the way, none of this is sponsored. So everything that you see in here, either I bought myself and paid every nickel for it or made it. So here we go. All right, guys, I'm going to do voiceover from here on out because the background noise just got way too out of hand and I went through a really bad coughing fit about halfway through. So I'm going to take all that out and I'm just going to voice over everything that I'm saying. So this is my 100-pound Emerson anvil on a giant eucalyptus stump that I picked up and put on my Honda Fit, cut to this silly looking picture. Pretty funny. It literally weighed my car down. I think it weighed about 400 pounds, so it was definitely a sight to see. So I have all my hammers wrapped around the stump, which work really well. Just with some pipe hanging clamps, I think. And there's a chain wrapped around it. That doesn't do much for deadening the sound, but it just adds a little more weight to keep the stump where I want it without moving. There is a magnet buried underneath that chain also, and that's really what helps with with cutting the ringing sounds down. Before I get any hate mail about using the eucalyptus, it's definitely not as flammable as people were trying to tell me it was. As you can see, all the forged scaling all over that. Plus, I've dropped white hot metal on there before, and all it does is smoke for a minute, just like any other piece of wood would. So, I'm not worried about it at all. Back behind here, you see my railroad track anvil with my post vise and a stand that I made for it with some miscellaneous stuff, a straightening jig, a bending jig, twisting wrenches, a couple hammers, my very first railroad track anvil that's 50 pounds. Actually, the laminated wood block that I had it on was right in that spot where the stand for the post vise is now. I also mounted that blue vise on there. And it's a swivel vise, and it also rotates, so it works really well, and it's perfect right there. It's very solid for just using angle iron. Kind of see another project that I'm kind of working on but failed on that vise. This is my welding table from Harbor Freight. Usually I have this kind of folded up in the upright position to be a little more out of the way, but I'm getting ready to actually, I've already made the billet, or the canister, so I just got done welding the canister for some canister Damascus that I'm going to make. Keeping something out of frame for now, but that's right there is my tong table, I guess you could call it. Holds all my tongs, holds water. Actually, I think that might be a kerosene. That's a little round punch that I made out of a ball peen hammer, the flux, some miscellaneous other stuff. This right here is a hot cut tool that I made from an axe. It works really well. Never actually had to sharpen it, so whatever axe I used, it was repurposed for that, but it works really well. And then a couple of other jigs to keep things like for cable. And those two hitch balls are what I was going to use to make spoons. I was going to try to make some spoons. And I still may try to do that in the future. And then here you see the punches that I got from Wahlberg Forge and some cheap Harbor Freight chisels and punches there. All the tongs you see are either I made them or they're from Ken's Custom Iron, and they're the rapid tongs that he has. This is the first set that I ever bought. I may need to buy another set so I can actually forge them out properly, or just reforge those ones. This is my forge. This is a Majestic 3-burner. I bought this, one of the first things that I purchased. Love this forge. It gets super hot, super fast. I got both sides you know, bricked off so I don't lose much heat. And this is that PID control forge that I showed on a video. So if you didn't see that, go to my video history and it'll be right there. I got 3 propane tanks, 100-pound, I believe that's a 25-pound, and then a 15-pound right behind that. The two smaller ones I'm able to put in my car since I don't have a truck to go get refilled. This is my new Husky 60-gallon air compressor. I'm excited to get to use it, but as you can see, it's not actually all the way plumbed yet because I'm waiting still for the air filter slash oiler to come in that I've been waiting for over a week from Home Depot. It was supposed to come in on the 3rd, and today is the 7th, one day before my birthday, so appreciate Home Depot for taking their time getting that to me. Down at the bottom you see some extra fire bricks and the PID control. And here's my crown jewel, what I've been waiting for more than more than a long time. There you see a sticker that I had made, and I'm going to include those with knife purchases for now on. But this press is made by Clark Iron Forge. You can find them on Instagram or Clark Taplin on Facebook. It's a 17-ton hydraulic forging press. So if you're looking for a really good press, high quality at a reasonable price, definitely look them up. There's a set of squaring dies on there right now for this canister that I just welded before I shot the video that I'm going to start forging on tomorrow, because up until now I have not used this press other than just testing it on some wood. It's really hot today, so I'm going to wait until tomorrow morning. There's the reservoir for the hydraulic fluid, the pump, and the motor. All of that stuff fits perfectly under that space, and all that is a Harbor Freight tool table. I had to bring the shelf as low as I could get it, but it fits that reservoir perfectly. It fits that whole bottom section really nice. I think I paid $40 for the stand, and then I just put some 3/4 inch plywood covered with a copper colored aluminum sheet, and there you see Deadpool, one of my favorite Marvel characters, keeping me company. Excited to use it. So there on the wall you see a welding helmet and a grinding face shield. I don't use the welding helmet anymore. I have a better one, but the face shield I still use when I grind with a disc grinder. And then there you saw my hose reel, 50 foot. So now we're going to go around to my utility shelf that I had just put there a couple weeks ago. That's a pressure pot for wood stabilizing, which I haven't done in quite a while because I haven't needed to. A little guillotine board for primarily sandpaper. I just like to cut them straight so that way I don't have much waste. Some miscellaneous stuff. All my glue, wax, acetone, a couple of bottles of propane in the back, and some super blue, or cold blue rather. It's cold super blue for bluing knife steel. Some extra paper towels, and another project that's still in the works. I'm trying to figure out what media I want to use, but that is the main part of the stone tumbler. I still have to work out some mechanics of it too, because upon experimenting I was going to use a drill, but the drill shuts off automatically after 5 minutes. So that's just a pain in the butt. There's some tubs with some miscellaneous tools and stuff in there, and the saw that I had on one of my videos, and the rest of the tumbler frame, and then some other power tools. Now we're going to go over to my desk where most of the design work starts. This is the Husky's 72-inch workbench that actually raises and lowers. It's got 2 tool drawers underneath, which is really handy. But so far, right now, I just have my Recon low-speed grinder on there. Then I have my paper wheels for sharpening. They work awesome. I love them. Get them at Grizzly because they're a lot cheaper. There's my Harbor Freight rotary tool. It used to hang up high, now it hangs low, which is still fine. Piece of driftwood that I was going to put in my aquarium, but I decided it would look nicer to use for pictures for taking knives. A little hanging, I don't know what you call that, drawer organizer with a bunch of Dremel bits and some cotton daubers and some cotton swabs and things like that. My wall of clamps, bunch of different types of clamps for wood and metal, some tape, some angle gauges, miscellaneous other stuff, more clamps, my business cards that I need to actually get new ones of because it's got my old phone number on it. What else we have? My top of this isn't usually this messy, but I was literally right in the middle of just finishing up making that canister, so I still have stuff sitting out, powdered steel and whatnot. My top drawer has the shipping boxes and padded envelopes and some other miscellaneous stuff in there, some extra tape and a little scale and things like that. Bottom drawer is going to have some cheap knives, some junk knives, some decent knives, some projects that I'm still working on. There you see some colored micarta, or not micarta, I'm sorry, Kydex. I don't know what I'm trying to show right there. Something. Oh, it's a little katana sword that I made out of a grade 8 bolt. So it turned out pretty nice. It was a while ago that I made this. You can see I used part of the head of the bolt as the guard for the katana. It's very sharp. It's definitely hardened because it's a grade 8 hardened steel bolt. I wish I would have done a hamon on it because I think that would have looked cool. But yeah, it's more of a novelty than anything else. That's the first knife I've made of steel ever. It's mild steel, but this was an experiment to see if I actually wanted to get into knife making, if I was any good at it. I posted it on Instagram, got a ton of likes on it. Posted it on Facebook, got a lot of real good compliments on it. So that kind of encouraged me to take the next steps. And that is a kukri I've been working on for a couple of years. I've not really been working on it. I forged it out in a day and then kind of sat in the drawer because I'm not too sure if how I want to go continue it. That is another failed project. The carbon migrated to the outside of the steel, which it wasn't supposed to do, and so that's scrapped now. So this drawer has a bunch of hardware, nuts and bolts and screws and nails. This top drawer is primarily, this toolbox is primarily knife making. The top drawer is going to have files and stuff in it. Second drawer, all my wood scales, some fittings for air hoses, and a bunch more Dremel bits. And my leather strop. Leather strop works really well, getting knives really sharp. Miscellaneous drawer with some gloves, a jeweler's saw, just kind of not a catch-all because I'm trying to limit myself from doing that too much. And there you see the handle and the guard for that knife, that last knife that I showed you. I'm going to be remaking that knife in the correct manner. Here, this is a precision screwdriver set for one time I made a folding knife. Probably won't ever do it again, but it's handy for other things. It's got tweezers and stuff in it. Prescription pair of safety glasses inside that Oakley box, and some dust masks. That's resin dye or wood stabilizing dye if I want to change the color of burl and things like that. And that little white can right there is it's called No Scale 2000. I haven't actually used it yet, but it's anti-scale compound. And then down here in the bottom drawer I have a Cricut Joy vinyl cutter. Works really well for making stencils. Some cutting papers so I can test the sharpness of the blades and stuff, and two 4.5-inch angle grinders. This is my enormous tool cabinet, and I peppered with stickers on the back. Little dust is a must was written on the top if you couldn't see the whole thing. Not anything super important here, just a bunch of tools for the house and for whatever. I mean, there's everything in there from nail guns to ratchets, tape measures, pencils. I mean, you name it, it's probably in there. There's my two forging aprons. I use them both. I love them both. And moving on up, this is my two vacuum pumps. Brand new, haven't needed to use them yet. The first one that I got went out, so they sent me a replacement, and the one in the back is from Harbor Freight. Some miscellaneous stuff at the top, some my radio for flying airplanes, and some extra grinding wheels. This stuff is all vehicle maintenance, car washing stuff, upholstery cleaning, things like that. My toaster oven that I use for tempering the knives, and my etching machine for etching my logo. I apologize about the noise from earlier. I didn't realize my microphone was picking it up. It won't happen again. That shelf is all of my RC stuff, and then the last two shelves are just very much miscellaneous things. The noise you were hearing earlier was I have a habit when I talk that I put my hand on my face, and since I have a beard, you were hearing that kind of scratching noise. So there is a couple of garage items in here, the refrigerator, those chairs, folding tables, and the ladder, so I have to share space with that stuff for the house. That is my Lincoln welder, the WeldPack 180. Works fantastic. I love that thing. Works so much better than the Harbor Freight welder that I had before that. Just a jacket and a towel on top of that, just to get it out of the way. Corner is, I need to put that in the shed. That's a little folding barbecue grill, so I can have a little more space. That's my dust collection system that I made the cart for. That is the Onetta Dust Deputy, I believe it's called. So it's got the cyclonic action, and it drops all the dust into that. The vacuum stays virtually clean underneath. It's a shop vac, 10 horsepower. I believe it's a, I don't know, 10 gallon or 15 gallon, I can't remember. But it works really well. All the hose I had to buy for it. That's kind of ran in different ways. The two attachments, and I just used ABS with some couplers, some rubber couplers, so that I can have the crevice tool and the shop floor sweeping tool, and then I have one other attachment. There's a bin just with a bunch of junk in it. No need to even talk about that. My miter saw under there for woodworking. That is a quench tank with some fast quench. I think it's called Fast Quench 180. It's from Jantz or knifemaking.com. I actually got it from a friend. There's probably 3 or 4 gallons in there, in a big old ammo can. So that works. That works well. Keeps things from melting if it gets too hot. There's another ammo can with some canola oil. That was what I used before. That table you see, right? Not this one. This table I got from an old job. There you see the split off for all of the hoses and all of the accessories for the dust collection. So my wood bandsaw, my drum sander, that's Shop Fox, and my 12-inch disc sander from Harbor Freight. All have the dust collector attached to it. And then there's one other piece which I'll show you in just here in a few seconds or a minute or two. I have a central controlled on-off switch, so I can turn it on and off from either side of the table. It's not hard to reach. And then that's my buffer. I have another buffer right over there that was sent to me by a friend, Jason, at Top Notch Blades. So check him out on Instagram as well. He sent me that, and it was on that toolbox, and I was using it when it was over on this other side where I'm at now. But I wanted both toolboxes in the same location, so I moved it over there. Used to be right there. So now I just got to figure out where I can put that buffer at, because it's smaller, it's more compact, and it's a little bit quieter. Here's my even heat kiln. It's a 24-inch, so I can put multiple knives in there. I can put a longer knife or a short sword in there. It's got the Wi-Fi control, so I can monitor the temperature from inside the house. I made that handle to make it look like a knife, just to give a little customization. My original quench tank that was filled with canola oil as well. It's a 4x4 square tube. I welded that up with a Harbor Freight welder, and hence why it's still leaking at the bottom, because partially because I'm not a good welder, and the other part because the welder sucked. This is another one of my prized jewels, is my Jet floor standing drill press. It's a 3/4 horsepower. I got the quick release toolless chuck system for it. The X and Y axis sliding compound vise that I made the little tabs there for to keep it secure. I use this thing all the time. It's bolted to the ground, so it's not going to move. There you see two tanks, two little tubes. I need them bigger. I need to get some wider. I think this is 2.5. I need about 3.5 inches. That one's filled with ferric chloride mixture, and the other one had the deactivator of baking soda and water. And then all of the parts that I have connected to the dust collector have blast gates, so I can open and close which ones I need to use, so everything's not being having air sucked into it at the same time, so I can just use one at a time. And that's the other part of my dust collection system. It's a 75-foot long hose, and I can go around and sweep and clean the garage. I can take that out and vacuum out the car if I want to. It works really well. That's my little sandpaper organizer that I made, a little shelf system to keep all the sandpaper grits separated. My pegboard that holds my magnetic chuck for the surface grinder, the grinding bevel jig, sorry. And then this is a really neat vise. It's a quick jaw, so you release that little lever and you can slide the jaw forward and backwards, and then engage it again, and then it'll tighten up. It's like $140 on Amazon. It's really nice. It's 5.5 inch. That there you see is for making micarta. It's a little jig that I made with two pieces of angle iron and a flat piece of steel on top. And then I just clamp all that and get everything nice and smooth and flat. And that's a press for doing Kydex, and you can see a little bit of Kydex hanging out from under there. Then I have this little cubby section that has some miscellaneous stuff in it too. And there's some layout fluid there, some stuff like that. Wood glues, resins, and spray paints normally keep right there. And then on the underneath part of the workbench, this is the workbench that I built, by the way, as well as the table that the kiln is on top of. Just a live trap and some other junk. And that hose I can actually connect to that right there for my dust collection for the grinder for when I'm grinding handles and things like that. Put it right under there. That was a really cool way to use that. That's my remote control for the VFD and all of my contact wheels. I like to try to have everything kind of, space saving as much as possible, because I have a very small 2-car garage. And that is my OBM grinder with the tilting table that I had in my last video for updating on the surface grinder attachment. And over here I'm probably going to put another bucket for sandpaper garbage. That's another cooling tank, a bigger, larger ammo can, my trash can that I just emptied before I started filming, and that's a water bucket for the misting system that I have for my grinder, but I've only used it a few times. It tends to throw water on my head and it's nasty. There's my variable speed wire wheel system on the Harbor Freight stand. And up here is my portable bandsaw table with the Bauer Harbor Freight portable bandsaw and the Swag off-road table, and a little dust tray that I made out of some plywood. It works really well. It's way more easy to keep clean. And this is my media sander or media blaster sandblaster, whatever you want to call it. I bought this from Tractor Supply Company. I had to do some modifications and seal every crack and crevice because a lot of that media was blowing out through the cracks and seams and even the lid. So I added some extra weather stripping there and just went around the entire inside with clear caulking just to seal everything up as good as possible. And now it actually seals so well that when I turn on the vacuum, which I'm going to show you here in a second, that's right underneath the table, it actually sucks the gloves to inside, so they're fully formed, like my hands are already in them, but just pulls such a hard negative vacuum that it works really well, so no dust comes out. I don't even have to wear a dust mask while I'm using it. And now we have some more bins for scrap, one for wood, one for metal. And then up here is my arbor press that I use for Kydex sheaths. Here is my grinding attachment rack that I made. That's the OBM Fuller attachment. That's brand new from OBM. I'll be reviewing that in the next coming couple videos. So stay tuned for that. And then up here is my 2x72 belt rack that I made. Need a longer rack for more belts, but I have limited space, so that's what I got. And then over here you're going to see my hoses and my extension cords, my air hoses and extension cords. And then just a couple miscellaneous other things and another bin of junk. Alright guys, so that's it. That's my shop. Hope you guys enjoyed the little tour. Like I said, I try to keep everything as close as possible, take as little bit of steps as possible to keep that steel nice and hot. So trying to maximizing the efficiency. Hopefully I get everything laid out the way it's going to be for the next couple months at least, because I wind up changing things around every now and then. If I find a little bit more space, I'll put something there or something like that, but generally it's going to be the way it's going to be for now on. So anyways, thanks again guys for joining me. Please feel free to like, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget that bell so you can get notified when I make a new video. So share this video too if you want to, or any of my other videos. That way I can get some more subscribers, man. I'd appreciate it. All right guys, until next time, happy forging.